What time is it, Kira?
It's time for the State of Podcast.
That was probably the worst intro.
Well, we've already done it.
Well, we haven't. Well, you can't break the illusion of how we film these now or record them.
Oh, sorry. It would be terrible to give the...
Well, so that's the intro. We didn't have the intro.
No, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, fuck it. That's the intro then. Once again, we're back to our old shambly ways as usual. Today, of course, as you've read in the title, it's a very sad episode. One of our great heroes, Richard Donner. Kira's looking at me here, sort of laughing at the same time in sort of a sadistic way.
It's not a shocker.
Well, it was 91.
It's a big age.
Well, it was mainly a good excuse for us to finally watch Superman Quest for Peace and scenes from the
painfully finish it.
Well, painfully finish it because we've seen all of them now.
Yeah. Well, bar the Donner cut.
Bar the Donner cut because it's realistically a couple of scenes and that we haven't seen. But it was just a great excuse to sort of... I mean, we were eventually going to do this. It was just, we kind of rushed it just to get it kind of done. But at the tender age of 91, Richard Donner sadly died. Again, I wish, we record these podcasts visually because Kira's sitting there smiling sadistically. I don't know why, but... See, you gotta big up the intros. David did the best intro of all time. Do you not remember that one?
No.
Have you not? You don't listen to these?
I haven't listened to many of them yet.
True fans, ladies and gentlemen.
You're only doing this with me because you have no choice.
That's kind of true, but we'll talk about that later. Sadly, this episode was actually intentionally meant to be me and David talking about BioShock, which was meant to be recorded about 3 days ago, but certain circumstances took place. But that episode will be coming out in about 2 weeks now because we have yet to record it. But no, I think I've always kind of wanted to watch all the Superman films because, I don't know what it was. It was kind of like I always watched the Batman as a kid, but not Superman. It's probably because I just think a fuck about Superman, to be honest. I don't know why. Yeah. Even I've only really gone into Man of Steel recently because I'd only seen it once, and that was in the cinema when it came out.
And then you didn't see it again for what?
Yeah, I didn't see it until I didn't even rewatch it before I went to see BVS.
Not a true fan then.
Pretty much.
You're not a true.
No, it was kind of weird. Well, it was only. I think it was last summer I watched it for the first time in ages and I was like, oh wait, this is actually kind of good.
Well, better than me.
Why?
Because I hadn't seen any superhero movies until maybe... What year were we in college? 4, 3, 2... How many years ago? 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
So 4 or 5 years ago was the
first year. You should have just said first year of college to not be confusing.
I know, before college, because I watched... The only thing I had seen superhero-wise was the first of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
The one that looks shit because it doesn't have letterbox bars by 16 by 9.
And then I watched Nolan's Batman trilogy, and then I was like, I'm going to watch the Superman movies after that, and then I was like, how did I go from Nolan to
but actually the question, why did you go, I watched the first Sam Raimi, I watched Nolan, do you know I'm going to watch the 4 fucking Superman films? Did you just think I'm going to start where superheroes get started? Sure, why not just go further back? Why not go to the first illegal Batman movie? Have you heard about the first illegal Batman movie? It was called Batman Vampire. Oh, and it was made by Andy Warhol in the 60s, the early 60s. And no one's ever seen it other than it's been in a documentary, clips of it or shots of it. But he made it just because he wanted to, but he was never allowed to release it because Warner Bros. Are like, well, you don't own the property. Have you not heard about that?
No, vampire?
Yeah, it's called Batman Vampire.
Who's the vampire?
No, I think it's just quite normal. It's just Batman stuff, but it's just I don't know. Well, no one knows much about the film,
Right.
You really didn't know what to use with that information, did you?
I don't know. Andy Warhol, Batman Vampire.
There was a lot of information to kind of condense in the span of, 10 seconds, sort of.
I am going to look this up, though.
Oh yeah, we do a whole episode on Batman, I mentioned.
Gotta get my info.
But no, like, because I'd only seen... Well, I thought I'd seen the first two Superman films. Excuse me. Because I was just like, oh, I've seen Christopher Reeve, yeah, definitely. But I think what happened was, as a kid, it was on TV. I'd seen the intro, was like, oh, this is amazing, and then I'd leave the room, play with toys, come back in, something else is happening. But I think every time it was on TV, it was always like a double billing. Like they'd show both of them because.
Well, I presume that's how it was meant.
Well, it was always kind of they do kind of take place right after one another.
Well, yeah, because even because at the start you get introduced to the villains of the second movie.
Yeah. Which I always thought
weird.
was... Well, that's why I always assumed it was just one big long film, but it's actually two films.
It is weird.
But I'd only seen them prior to obviously rewatching them. I've only seen bits of 1 and 2.
But I kind of imagine you're in the cinema when this comes out and you see those three characters put away, and you're just like, oh, obviously they're going to be the villains for this movie, and then they're not in it for the rest of the film.
But who fucking watched Superman in the 70s? You know what I mean? What was it, 78? It was 1978. Yeah, fucking Star Wars had just come out the year before. I think that was the only kind of reason people wanted to watch it, because they wanted because I think the reason Superman did well was because the previous year there was this big blockbuster. You know what I mean? And then every year after that, there was a blockbuster, if you know what I mean. People say, fuck, Jaws, first blockbuster. Bullshit, right? That's not fucking true. Star Wars was really... You know what I mean, though?
You just say it's Spielberg.
Well, that will be a Spielberg-esque sort of... We'll probably talk about that when Indiana Jones happens. We'll probably do the Indiana Jones ones you actually haven't seen, funnily enough.
I haven't
You've only seen the first one, I think.
Yeah. Well, I only know
Raiders.
The one with your Juan Willie in it because I played it on the Wii. That's the only reason
Willie?
I know. Yeah.
Who's Willie?
The one where they're in are they in Japan?
Oh, that's Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I've seen that
Shortstop.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy from The Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, another Richard Donner film by people.
Oh, The Goonies. Yeah. Yeah, I really wanted to talk about that.
I love how this is a Richard Donner special. We've done everything but talk about Richard Donner.
Well, I don't know really.
Well, I was talking about fucking Andy Warhol for but
Well, we can talk about The Goonies. Fuck Superman.
No, I haven't seen. That's a film I've seen less, than any other film I've probably ever seen.
You've not seen The Goonies that much.
Again, I think I just saw parts of The Goonies.
Oh, can we watch The Goonies?
I think I've seen the whole film, but just at different parts of my life. So that altogether, I've seen the entirety of the film.
I love The Goonies because, your guy Chuck, little whatever his name is.
Truffle Shuffle. Yeah.
I love watching that film because at the end he's just like, "You're gonna live with me now." To the big...
Does that film not end on a beach?
It ends on the beach.
Yeah,
it's
was
so
very
bizarre.
weird.
All the parents are there,
yeah.
and they're like, "We found diamonds or jewels or something."
Well, I actually thought that was weird because I always thought that was just them as grown-ups. I thought it was like an It sort of chapter 2 situation where they grew up or something.
Strange, but I just love the ending because he's like, he has the dude with him, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna come live with me now." And you're just like,
"What? Josh Brolin?
When did you decide this?" No, the wee curly-haired guy with the big.
Right. Yeah.
I
have no idea. I haven't seen the film.
No, do you know the guy they're all afraid of?
Oh yeah, the guy eats the Babe Ruth bars. Yes. They're not Babe Ruth, Baby Ruth.
Oh.
Baby Ruth. Actually, the bars have no relation to the baseball player Babe Ruth. We will. We'll talk. We probably should have done this prior to the Richard Donner special, which I'm calling this.
Pause it. We'll go.
We're not going to pause. I'm not going to pause because we're going to forget what we talked about. Well, I really have already, but still. No, but see, what the fuck was I talking about now?
We were talking about how we haven't talked about Richard Donner.
Oh, Indiana Jones we're talking about.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
Well, no, because we'll just leave the Indiana Jones thing aside. Because I think I was going to say a point about Indiana Jones, but I completely forgot it in the midst of it.
Such tangent.
But no, bringing it back to Superman. When I say Richard Donner special, it's mainly we're talking about the Superman films, and we're going to talk about Richard Donner.
Well, my view, because whenever we were talking about watching them, I thought the second one, I don't know, was ingrained in my head the second one was better than the first one. And then once we rewatched them, I was like, oh, maybe not.
Well, I think it's kind of weird because, like, the first film is weirdly very sort of artistic.
Yeah, I like the first
But
one.
no, just even the intro alone. Like, it's something you wouldn't see today.
Yeah. Well,
if you know what I mean.
For good reason. No one would sit for credits that long.
No, not just that. I mean, like, you know, the start where it's showing, like, you know, the theater curtains open and it's like black and white and it's 35mm. Well, obviously not 35mm, I imagine, but like a 16mm. You know, black and white footage of the kid talking about the comic book, and it's just like, vroom, and like the Superman, they show Superman, and it just zooms out, and it's just like, oh fuck yeah, Superman bullshit, you know.
Well, I assume that's all Donner. I don't know.
I assume so.
I feel like the good things.
But I think it's also the budget was quite high for that film. Like, that was like $100 million or something budget for just the first, I think.
Well, most of it went to Brando.
Well, we'll touch on that later. But, like, I think the intro alone, like, my favourite part about these four films, and we'll talk about Returns, obviously, after, because you kind of have to, because it's kind of entwined in there, even though it's not. Fucking leather cape. But, fucking hate that cape. But no, I think it's kind of weird, because my favourite part of the first film is just the first act. It's literally until he becomes Superman, and then when he becomes Superman and fucks off, and like, I don't care about the film anymore. I don't know why, I just think it's really well paced.
But I like the I do like the whole building up to him becoming Superman.
Like, but the first, like, 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, because you're just, like, Clark Kent on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and then I kind of like that.
Well, it's kind of weird, because, like, you have, obviously, the 6 minutes of credits at the start, you're like, oh fuck yeah, it's great, and then halfway through you're like, oh for fuck's sake, just can I see the film, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So long.
But and then I admire the fact that they were just like, yeah, fuck it, there you go, General Zod and all that. But then I feel, was that intentional, or was it just, you know, do we really know if we're, you know, how they're going to edit this film? I feel there was a lot of half-assedness to the first film. Yeah, like, where they didn't know what it was actually going to be, like, what was going to be in the first one, what was going to be in the second one.
Yeah, but didn't they even say, like, that, well, Richard Donner said that he wasn't given a budget. And then whenever they were like, oh, he went over budget, he was like, okay, you didn't give me a budget.
Yeah, how? Yeah, how am I over budget? I didn't have a budget. Because I assume the money keeps coming in, Brando keeps fucking off, you know, I don't know what's going on.
Reading lines off nappies.
Yeah.
Like.
If you don't know, Brando read his lines when he's talking to Kal-El, put them in the shuttle, he's reading off his nappy. Yeah,
because he wanted everything to be really fresh. So one line, where I'm only doing one take.
Well, if you think about this is post Godfather, so at this point it's just, I can get away with fucking anything, you know what I mean?
It's just kind of awful.
Should we just do a Brando special?
Yeah, I just can't.
You need to actually kind of watch The Godfather then to kind of do
I've
that.
I've seen The Godfather.
No, with all three of them. But even though he's not in all three of them, his you know, presence emanates throughout.
Well, I need to watch old Brando films, but I just don't. I don't like them.
Like On the Waterfront and, you know, Sweet Streetcar Named Desire and
all the classics. But I just
mainly Elia Kazan films.
Yeah, pretty much just because Christopher Reeve was just like, wasn't really excited working with him. Like, I just like
well, it's kind of ballsy for him because he was no one. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, everyone kind of forgets Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder were no one. Yeah. Yet they were like basically the main characters.
Yeah, because he's the titular character, and he's not like his name. He's not the top billed actor until like the third movie. Because
but if you think about that's kind of like a tradition.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it, like, because Brandon Routh.
Yeah, you need someone to carry it. Yeah.
And then Henry Cavill obviously wasn't in that much.
Well, he was
prior.
Stardust.
Yeah, again, he was not. He wasn't a main character. What I'm saying is, the only main character he was that I remember at that time was he was in the film, you know, Immortals or whatever. Yeah, which the only reason I remember is because he's very skinny but muscular. But also, the release date of the film was 11/11/11. They were really riding on that sort of release date.
I like that.
Which wee fun fact for David, if he is listening, it's also the release date of Skyrim, as you would probably know.
What are you know that? I just don't understand.
Because it's like, how would you not remember the date 11/11/11? It's not going to happen for about 100 years.
Yeah,
like,
that's very true.
But no, there is sort of something special about the first Superman film. Because it is well shot. Yeah. And as we know, the cinematographer died after the release of the first film. Like,
but they'd already shot some stuff.
Like half of the second one.
From the second one, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is clear, because whenever we were watching those side, like the Donner cut versus...
Yeah, we're watching the side-by-side comparison of the Donner and... Well, just the colour correction as well.
It's very yellow.
Well, I think that also might have something to do with the fact that that's probably taken from a Blu-ray. And they probably...
Oh, yeah.
It's obviously going to be a bit clearer and crisper. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I don't remember it being that bad when we watched it.
No, it wasn't that kind of grainy.
No. I don't think... Like, it just...
Like, that could probably be from a DVD or...
Yeah.
Well, not VHS, but DVD, if you know what I mean.
Well, it just felt like the colour was really off. Like,
it was very orangey, whereas... Yeah. Well, I could tell because for a lot of early Blu-rays, and that's kind of like 2011 prior up until, like, you know, 2006 or 7, whatever the first fucking Blu-ray came out. They all had like a very bluish tint to them, every film, and you can only really tell in comparison videos. Like I could tell in the Lord of the Rings comparison, like the DVD's very yellowy.
Oh, okay.
Yellowy, kind of greenish. Blu-ray's very bluish.
Yeah. And
in the 4K was just clean, crisp.
So. Moral of the story is
get 4K. Well, it only came out recently. So
yeah.
It's only it came out last year, kind of to compare it. But
it's bad. It was bad.
But the weird thing is, because I've not. Well, you have you seen Donner Cut in full? Like it's a full film. Have you seen the Donner Cut?
I thought I'd seen it, but then we watched like the Caravan of Garbage of it, and I was like, I don't remember.
Mr. Sunday Movies, by the way.
Yeah.
We shout out to James and Meso over there. I hope they listen to it. Can someone please send this to them? I know they'll never hear this, but
big fans.
We'll have you on as guests. Either or, I don't mind.
Well, I don't know. I know the different. I only remember the change in Superman reveal and the ending.
Oh yeah.
Because like,
well, the ending's very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in like Lester's version, obviously we see now where they're at like the romantic holiday thing. They're at the resort and then he trips, which doesn't make any sense.
Well, no. Right, we'll get into the characterization of Superman in all of these films in a minute.
I know,
but listen, when it comes to those films, to be honest, that's not the worst thing they've done. But my only problem with that scene is it's just such a shit looking set. Like it's a pink. Everything's pink. Everything's so fake looking.
No, but my problem is
like you can tell it's kind of reshoots because it's just so shit. It's like
so
whatever you fucking have, just scrap it kind of together.
But it's like because Clark Kent, because when he's like performing as Clark, everything he does is just to create this illusion that he's definitely not Superman. Yeah. So when he trips, it's like, but that was obviously a choice he made, right? So, but surely,
well, I imagine.
I don't understand.
Well, like, I think the only way you can get around it is like, and this is me defending a film I hate. Like when he's like playing Clark, he's just in that psychology. So I think, but he's not really aware of his surroundings because he's trying to be like stupid Clark.
Maybe, yeah. I guess.
But he's not really playing Clark.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because like even if you see like in the first film when he's young, he's just kind of like a normal guy. When he's younger.
Well, he's completely because
Well, I actually feel really bad for that young actor who played young Clark in the first film because
he gets dubbed over.
He gets dubbed over. They made him wear prosthetics to make him look like Christopher Reeve, and like there's nothing of that actor in there at all, and he has this hatred for Christopher Reeve now because he's just like I fuck it, you know, like, which you can kind of understand, but
yeah, because whenever we watch Quest for Peace, you know the start whenever Clark is at
no, it's 3.
No, whenever he's at the barn at the start of the third movie.
Oh yeah.
Because before. He doesn't act goofy when he's in Smallville, but he does when he's in Metropolis.
Oh, he does the same in 3.
Yeah, whenever he
like
goes
when he
home,
goes
he's
to
not like
most of that's fucking set in fucking Smallville, isn't it?
He's not really weird. He's just because like I like the clumsy Clark.
Yeah,
but I think I prefer his actual personality because Superman, when he actually wears his clothes, he doesn't have personality, which is something I did take reading the review.
Right, by the way, Kira has a sheet of notes here. She's the only person to ever be on this that has compiled notes. Now, it's not even impressive, the notes. They're literally, it's not even a full...
You gave me...
An hour.
No, you gave me, like, less than 40 minutes,
anyways.
And I am sleep deprived.
But anyways...
Right, in the Roger Ebert review...
He loves this film.
Oh, from Superman, like the original, like Superman 1978, whatever.
We're a big fan of Roger Ebert.
But yeah,
everyone that listens to this podcast, or sorry, not listens, is on this podcast. Sorry.
Well, he basically said Superman has no personality in the comics, and he doesn't in the film either. As when he's actually Superman, which I was thinking that makes sense because he has like 3 different personalities. Yeah.
But realistically too, it's only the third we kind of really see in Superman 3 and 4.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's actual Clark Kent.
Well, like my big problem is with these films is we don't really get an origin story.
Yeah.
It's sort of something I'm kind of half annoyed at in the Batman anthology, the first 4 Batman, Keaton to Clooney, where we don't really get that origin story, but we sort of do in Batman Forever, at least. Mm-hmm. But it's the one thing maybe that's why I'm not like a big fan of Superman films, because we don't really know who he is.
No,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's just kind of like caricature. He's not really. Yeah, because like we don't see him learn how to fly. We don't see him build any of his powers. He just has them. But
it's something that was just sort of. It's just something that didn't really happen until Spider-Man. It's something we never really saw until the first Raimi Spider-Man film.
Oh.
If you think about it, really, like as the first film is an origin story, because like for example X-Men, it's kind of hard to do an X-Men origins story. We will definitely have to do an X-Men episode.
That'll be awful.
Yeah, but if you know what I mean, though.
There's some good stuff there, though.
Yeah, but it's something that I think you really see when it comes to the MCU, and really really sort of mid 2000s, so just sort of really the 2000s onwards, we've only really started to see superhero origin stories. Obviously, like Batman Begins was a big deal because it was the first kind of one to do it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, I think they kind of get away with it, if you know what I mean? Not having an origin story.
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, you didn't have people...
People didn't really care.
Yeah.
They just wanted to go see Superman save people.
Yeah.
But
we're probably mesmerised by, like,
the visual effects. Cause that, like,
even if they don't stand today.
Well, it's kind of weird, because, like, the more these films went on, the worse they look. Like, the first one actually looks pretty good. Like, there were some shots, and you're like, oh, it's kind of... Well, how did they kind of do that?
Yeah.
And then I'm like... per Christopher Reeve, he spent probably like 6 months just being in a blue screen room, like.
Yeah, I can't remember how. I just read that it looked really awful, and then Christopher Reeve kind of saved the visual effects for it in the first movie because he was just willing to just keep doing it over and over again until it looked.
Whereas
really
like
good.
any kind of actor would be like, oh fuck that, Brando.
Yeah, wouldn't even do more than one take for how many? Like, is he in it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes? He doesn't have a lot of screen time. It's
kind of weird because, like, people say, it's like, oh, like, I remember talking to people and they're like, well, how'd you know that Donner would have, like, stayed on for, like, after the second film? And I'm like, look at Lethal Weapon. You know what I mean? Like, he directed the first 2.
Yeah. Skipped
the 3rd, I think. Did the 4th. He was planning the 5th. Even up until his death there. But, I could have seen him continue it, if you know what I mean, if he was, allowed to originally,
I imagine. I think he would finish it. He definitely would have finished the second one. Well, he had, 70% of it shot, and then they...
It was most of it.
But he wanted to use, whenever the cinematographer died, he wanted to use like his cameraman or something. And then obviously they had like a disagreement about that. And then they brought in the guy and they wanted
Richard Lester.
Richard Lester brought in like some, I don't know, I looked him up. It was like Robert, I don't know.
Robert Duvall. He got Robert Duvall to be a cinematographer.
No, I never heard of this cinematographer, but like he has done anything. I think like they all look like B movies, but they're not. Like it doesn't look great after him. Well,
yeah, because it is sort of, and like I mean, you easily made the comparison of. It's easy to see why people would compare it to like Justice League, for example.
Yeah.
Where like. Obviously, the cinematography is just really shit compared to...
Yeah.
Which I don't think you can blame for it being just... not just for being, what you call it, reshoots.
Yeah.
I think it is just just laziness and not being as... Not really caring and being as inexperienced.
Well, Schneider is very visual.
Oh, yeah.
He's
like
incredible.
that's a great example,
yeah.
you know.
But... So it is.
Listen,
kind of hard.
I'm comparing Schneider to Donner here. I'm not doing right. Let's keep that clear.
Well, Donner they did great with what they had to work with. I think. Well, I think they look good. Like for the most part, I like the first one. Parts of the second one, but see,
but I do. No, you're right, because I do really like the first one.
The first one's great.
Like there is some really good shots in there, and then it's just something that you see happen less frequently, and then none at all by the end of it.
And the third one, it's just such a like crazy difference.
Well, well, not just that, but the third one is just like you can see, like, oh fuck. Well, it's not a Superman film at all. This is my. Well, I turned to you. I was like, this isn't the. This is obviously it was originally a Richard Pryor film, but not even he's good in it.
He's awful in it.
But then you have the guy who's basically Lex Luthor, but like a really good Lex Luthor for once.
Oh yeah.
Because he's actually a businessman and stuff. I'm like, surely this is Lex Luthor, that fucking mole man from the first fucking film. Like, you know what I mean?
I do like Gene Hackman though, but
I do like him, but he is kind of like that kind of like huckster sort of.
He's a terrible character in it,
but it doesn't feel like it's set in the 70s. It does feel like it's set in like the 20s or something, or the 50s. You know what I mean?
It is really weird. I do
so
love
like that
the underground where he lives. It's just so
weird.
It's
like such a lot. Well, the thing is, we haven't watched the extended cut of the first film because, well, actually, weirdly enough, Donner said no. They made the extended cut without his supervision.
Oh, right. Okay.
This was following the success of the Donner cut. They went and just like made an extended cut without telling them, and they're like, "Oh no, I didn't approve this."
In the Donner cut of the first film, do they have like a thing where?
No, don't call it Donner cut. Just call it the extended cut.
Right,
we'll get confused.
Okay, in the extended cut of the first film,
they have the gauntlet.
Yeah, but do they talk about like Clark needs to like keep his identity secret?
I can't remember. All I know is there's Lois Lane on the train. Lois Lane on the train. Now this is I don't know why people. Not enough people know of Lois Lane on the train. That's the problem.
Well, I think I've seen the extended cut, but I don't remember. Because remember, I was like to you whenever we watched it for the first time, and there wasn't the Lois Lane on the train. I was like, oh.
And I was like, Kira, what the fuck are you talking about? They would obviously not film that.
Then we didn't. We went and watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I obviously seen the extended cut the first time I watched it because it was Lois Lane on the train, and I just remember sitting there just be like, why is this in the film? Like it's just Lois Lane as a child, and then just Clark is like running past, and it's so random. It's like, why is Lois Lane on the train in the middle of nowhere? Like,
yeah,
where's
like
she
in
from?
the,
is she not
I have
from
no idea.
Metropolis?
Nah, I don't think so.
Oh,
maybe I don't know.
Well, they don't care.
It doesn't really matter. They don't say. It's not really relevant, is it? But it's kind of weird because it's just such a nothing kind of. Because it's not like, oh, it's an Easter egg for a later film. Yeah. We see her in the film anyway. So it's not like, oh, this is, oh, we're setting us up for later sort of a thing. You know, if they said, oh, that's Lana. Lana, sit down, you know, like that would be. Oh wait, that would be. No, that would make sense because Lana's in the film. Oh yeah, never mind.
Because he's running to get there.
I always forget Lana's in the film.
Well, I find really weird.
Lana's always so underused compared to the comics.
Is Margot Kidder? Is she younger than Christopher Reeve? Because she definitely.
I don't know. I'd say they're the same age roughly. She doesn't look younger, I know.
Because timeline
they look like the same. He looks younger, to be honest.
Younger.
Yeah.
Not that I don't believe in judging people by age and looks and stuff, but when you think she is a child on that train and he runs past and he's like, teenager, like he's a good bit older. Yeah. Like I'd say like 8, 15.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's teens, at least late teens, because he looks fucking... He looks real, but then... He looks tormented, but that's mainly, I imagine, the prosthetics.
But they do that, in America, like, when you watch a film that's set in America, the teenagers always look way older.
Like, because they're played by 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Well, also because it's cheaper, because child union laws and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which you can kind of understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know, it's... I hate the third one so much.
The third one is...
Well, the weird thing is, like I said to you, is like, in these 4 films, across these 4 films, there's a good film somewhere. Like, you could probably edit them together. Because I think the weird... Well, not really a problem, just the weird thing about the first film is... He just sort of reveals himself out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's
no hint towards... Yeah. It's just like, a guy just saving... Like, he just like, around the saving things, and like...
But
people
also,
and like the plane and stuff.
Yeah, like whenever he does the first like
the
Superman
helicopter
thing, but he doesn't even realize Lois is on the roof until like he doesn't realize it's happening until someone's like, "Oh my god, look what's happening up there!" Just like, but Superman surely would know, right? Because I don't get the whole.
It's just very weird, that first film. Though.
It's just there's no consistency. I feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, the fourth film, as bad as it is, it's more enjoyable than the third one. I think the third one is definitely the worst out of them all.
I mean, I still can't believe, though, that you really thought that the second one was better than the first one.
I don't know why. But do you have, like, a weird... Well, you said you do, because whenever you watch these films, you obviously see bits of them. So then, but we do that, and we put all the pieces together and we think it's the one film, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
And then I think I seen it and I just...
Well, I assume it was the first two.
Didn't remember most of it. Like like the first film is good. I actually like the first film.
It works as a film.
I like parts.
There's a lot of weird shit in it, I imagine.
Yeah.
I feel like you could combine even the first 2 films into one good film.
Well,
but like cut stuff out, obviously.
What was intended at the end of the first film? Because obviously he wasn't meant to go back in time, because that was for Superman 2.
He was meant to get the nukes and throw them into space.
But was Lois meant to die?
No.
So they just added in Lois dying.
I think that was meant to be at the end of the second one.
She was going to die. Well, that would have made more sense, though.
And that's why he goes back in time.
Superman.
No, but that's why he goes back in time to stop it from happening.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was meant to be the big finale. Because it was realistically meant to be a 2-parter.
Yeah.
And then obviously they were going to make a third one, but obviously with the intention of the first 2. Because it's cheaper to make 2 films back to back. Because they cost less. But it's just a lot more stressful for everyone working on it.
Yeah. Especially when nobody's getting along.
Yeah.
As well.
And people getting fired left, right and centre. Well, I think that's why basically a lot of bad shit happened, was because they were filmed back to back. Like, it was very ballsy to do even in the 70s. But I think they were like...
They had a chance to cool down either, I assume.
Well, yeah, but I think there was just the idea of, oh, well, this is going to do great. This is going to do really well. I don't know why they thought that. Because, you know, Batman was a made-for-TV movie at the time. And Star Wars had come out a year prior. So I assume they were going for that kind of like blockbuster, sequel-y kind of feel.
But like... Because the third one... Because Lester obviously went more along with what the producers wanted. Yeah. Which was... Well,
I think that's why he was hired, because he was just going to do what he was told.
Yeah, like slapstick comedy,
But that's what he likes. That's what he does as a director. Because, like, he did A Hard Day's Night, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. But you think you could do that well, but when the whole film is like that...
Well, you just make this kind of Frankenstein of a film where it's not really anything. It's so devoid of itself.
Yeah.
Because it's fighting itself, tonally.
Yeah, that's... Because... But,
it's like Justice League where it's fighting itself tonally. Because it's just like, wait, what's going on? But, But, like, you can tell the same people worked on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not too jarring. I mean, the only jarring thing is obviously Margot Kidder. She does not look well in that film at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's very apparent.
Yeah.
It's something you can sort of see less and less of, obviously in 3, she's only in it for like 5 fucking minutes.
She goes on holiday, through a bikini.
Yeah. And
so out of character.
And then in the 4th one, obviously, but it's kind of weird.
Well, I just think at the start of the 3rd film, I actually forgot how it opened. Do you know the way, like, it's just so much stuff happening?
Yeah, because it is sort of like this Rube Goldberg sort of, you know what I mean? A series of events.
Yeah. And you were saying, like, I was expecting Superman to just come in and save and stuff, but he only saves your man that was drowning in his car.
I was like, first of all, how's someone drowning in their car in the middle of the city on a road? How does this happen?
So
but then, of course, all the telephone boxes fall down. Like, there's a lot of weird shit in this. No, Clark grabs a pie and smacks it in someone's face.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, like, at least you know from the start this is not going to be a good film. Because that's happening while the credits are happening. It's just sort of your traditional sort of credit roll. Whereas compared to, like, the first 2 films where it's like, oh, you know, we're showing this off and, you know, it's this big flashy, you know, event sort of a thing, big blockbuster. But no, it's so fucking weird.
Well, the only thing I will give Superman 3 is that because it is like that the whole way through, you can't just take the piss the whole way through.
But it's not even the Superman film.
Yeah.
It does feel like you get a comedy film from the 80s, and that's not funny.
Yeah.
That you just throw Superman into. You're like, fine, so this plot's going, fuck it, Superman's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just kind of like a cameo in it, really.
But like, it was a smart move to kind of do evil Superman, but they didn't do it for long enough. And I think the fault was having Superman be evil and not creating like an evil Superman. Obviously something they did in 4.
But also, see in Superman 3, whenever he is evil, is he fighting himself like an actual physical...
I don't know, maybe it's like sort of like a Fight Club situation.
Yeah, because that's
what I assumed.
Yeah. But he does like put him in like a trash compactor.
Yeah, but again, just Fight Club sort of thing.
Because I always wondered where that...
I love how Superman puts Clark Kent in the trash compactor. Not that he could grab him by the throat and rip his head off, or, you know, maybe throw him into the fucking sun. He throws him in a trash compactor. I don't know why. Yeah. Is that Clark's fear? Is that why, had his parents been killed at a young age, he would become, you know, trash compactor man? Is that the tragic backstory he would have had? You know.
He's a character from Toy Story.
Pretty much, like. But I don't know, it's... well, I think the worst thing about these films, character-wise, is not just the relationship between Superman and Lois, because it's mainly a Superman and Lois sort of... not the TV show, by the way. Superman and Lois kind of relationship, and not really a Lois and Clark relationship.
But it's really weird, because I like the banter between Clark and Lois. Like,
yeah.
Because she's just like, oh, Clark, you're doing this again, la la. And he's just there kind of like winking at the audience, being like, yeah, he is just cheering the scenery, because he's just like, Lois thinks I'm an idiot, but she's no idea she's madly in love with me, this kind of thing. Yeah. But like, whenever she's with Superman, there's like, she's so like mesmerised by him. There's no real chemistry. That's one of superpowers. Yeah.
He's just seducing women.
But he does have a history of being a creep when Superman returns.
But like, I think the weird thing is just like the female, like the love interest basically in these films, because they're always thrown away. Yeah. Because like, she's in Lois in the second one, but the relationship's like, it almost happens again. Like, it's not really continuation of the first film, and then, you know, they kiss, which we'll get into later. Yeah. And then she forgets it. And then the next film is just like, oh, well, you know, I'm just gonna go out with Lana Lang. And then the 4th film, she's gone. Yeah. So, like, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean?
And like, also, does Superman like Lois? Because
I think so.
It feels like he only likes her when he's Clark. He doesn't actually like
but
when he's
the only
Superman.
reason he's because Superman's not really who he is. He is
Yeah,
Clark.
because,
But obviously he's not the bumbling Clark.
Yeah, he's just
But it's not like
Clark.
he can sort of be normal Clark, because that would just give himself away.
Yeah, this is the problem I have with Superman. The whole Clark-Superman dual identity thing. Because it's like, Lois...
Hold on. Sorry, this is a tangent. I just realised. Why the fuck is he acting like a twat in the first film when he's working on Daily Planet and stuff? Because he doesn't reveal himself as Superman until later on.
I know,
But why is he acting like a twat? No, you know what I mean.
He's getting ready.
But did he know, like, a weird, big, high-risk event was going to happen? Because before this, all he does is catch a bullet from hitting Lois.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And he does it so clumsily, too. It's
yeah.
so funny. I actually like that scene. I think it's so funny.
And he sort of gives a wee weird smile to the bullet. Oh.
But I do like it because that's, like, the antics I like with Lois and Clark. Because they do bounce off
Small
each
moments.
other well. Yeah. But whenever... It's just nothing when... Even whenever they're together in Superman 2, it's just very... There's nothing exciting happens with them.
They just sort of like fucking the what you call Fortress Soldier.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna be like this. Goes, gets beat up, and then cries his way back to the fucking Fortress of Solitude, which at the end he blows up with his X-ray or not X-ray vision, heat vision, right? And then in the fourth film, it's there again. So does that mean in the Donner cut is canon? Because in the Donner cut he blows it up but then goes back in time, so it's obviously still there. And then he goes to like what? I don't think anyone knows what's going on in this franchise.
Well, see, I don't know.
Does everyone just forget the previous film? Is that what happens?
Yeah. Well, it's actually the opposite to Star Wars, where everything is like a reaction to the film before it. They were like, "No, fuck the film that came before, and we'll just make whatever we want."
It's so surreal, though. You know what I mean? Because like another thing that annoys me, Martha Kent's barely in it.
Yeah.
But then it's weird. Right, we're going to start talking about Superman Returns now, because it's the big one really to talk about.
It's so bad.
Because it's sort of so like boring. Disjointed from the other four, but it kind of works and it doesn't. But it. Like, she's only in the first film, Martha Kent. And then the third film, it's like, oh no, she died. And then, obviously, in Returns... Well, it's kind of weird, because she's meant to be kind of like Clark's moral sort of support and stuff, you know? Almost like Alfred to Batman, sort of a way, you know what I mean? But in Superman Returns, it's just like, oh, she's here? And it's just like, well, we've only seen her in the first fucking film, because obviously Superman Returns is... You know, the first two are canon and 3 and 4 isn't.
Yeah.
But no, obviously Superman, the Donner cut of Superman 2 is canon.
Yeah.
Because the Fortress of Solitude's in Superman Returns.
Yeah, and then okay, but that's very complicated because. The ending... Well, we always have the moral problems with Superman Returns. Because, obviously, he kisses her in the end of Superman 2. And then she doesn't remember who he is. But she has a child, and then he goes off to space. But she's pissed off that Superman leaves. But is she just pissed off because he left? Or...
But she doesn't know that they fucked. Remember,
but she is mad at him for leaving for 5 years.
Yeah, but I think that's because she just really liked him, and then he fucked off, and then like everything went to shit in the world or something. Well, not really, because nothing really went to shit in the world, which I find jarring.
But how much did? So you know when he erases her memory, how much does he erase? It's very
selective, I imagine.
Yeah,
it's whatever he wanted. I don't know. This is again something else that's weird about this, sort of series is. It was like Superman before they nerfed him, in a way. Because it was just like, Superman just had every superpower ever.
Yeah. And
then like after like the first two films, they're just like, in the comics, like they're just like, yeah, we're just going to kind of weaken him because we don't really know what to do with this character.
Can do too
but
much.
People really want to read the comics because the films, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like, well, how do we, and they're just like, right, we'll just make him kind of weaker and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, Like, obviously, the Superman we have now, you know, like Henry Cavill, and even in the comics where it's, you know, he's X-ray vision, heat vision, frost, breath, flight, strength. That's kind of really it. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously there's kind of like Elseworld kind of events. Oh yeah, super speed, obviously. Mm. But there's kind of like these Elseworld events where it's kind of like, oh, you know, there's different Superman, you know, they have different powers, all that bullshit kind of thing.
Okay. Mm.
Which I think is kind of better, and why I kind of like prefer like Cavill, just because I'm like, right, I know the limits of his powers. I think that's the kind of problem, because like every film was like, oh, he got a new power with the Reeve ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Literally every, because I remember, you know, because people are pissed off about in Quest for Peace, where he can rebuild the wall of China with his eyes. I'm like, it's not that weird compared to the other films. Like, to be honest, that's quite okay. That's more realistic than the fucking remember me not kiss. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, even turning back time, fuck it. You know, fair enough. The Flash does it, why can't you?
Yeah. So, but whenever he turns back time, what did you say? You thought that surely there would be another... Well, no, we don't know how time travel works. Another time travel tangent.
Yeah.
But...
Kira loves time travel.
Well,
She's watching too much Loki.
I don't like it, whatever.
Something we will be covering next week. Yeah, that was a good plug, wasn't it?
Like, I don't mind if the rules of time travel make no sense, but I need film to set them out.
Yeah, to explain
like,
it.
At least in Back to the Future, it makes no sense that whatever he does in the past affects his future self. But at least they say that. Whereas whenever Superman goes back in time, they don't explain anything. Like how it works. Like, does time work in a loop? So does he...
Is there two Supermen?
Yeah, is there two Superman now? And if not, does somebody do... Well, I don't know. I just don't like the time travel element. I'm like, if you're going to do it,
I suppose this was like 1978 and time travel wasn't really that well thought of.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that kind of overdone.
Yeah.
So you could sort of like do whatever you wanted and no one questioned it. You know what I mean? Whereas now, since we've got so much time travel shit, you have to, like, people question, like, well, how does this really work? Because we've had, like, 50 million thousand different ways of how time travel works.
Yeah.
And in every time travel kind of film, it's always explained. So, like, we always feel like we have this need for it to be explained to us.
Yeah. I need things, I need it to be explained. I can't deal with time travel not explained.
But, obviously, Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I saw in cinema, which was just amazing as a child to watch. And then we watched it recently, and I turned to you like 20 minutes in. I was like, Jesus, alright. But then it was kind of weird, because like halfway through it was like, oh, this sort of feels like the third act. But it wasn't the third act.
It's a very dragged out film.
Well, I think it's kind of weird because comparing it to Man of Steel, because it's the only Superman film that's been that long. Yeah. Which is around the 2.5 hour mark. Yeah. One feels a lot shorter than the other. Now, I don't know whether that's because there's fuck all action in Superman Returns, or is it just the action is very anticlimactic?
I think
you know
it is paced poorly too, though.
Well, I think it's just this kind of like, oh, this is going to be the first of many, you know, Superman films. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird opening. Because obviously they do the dun, dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah.
Dun, right, don't sue me. Rob Williams or Warner Media Music. It's, you know, and then it's all that, it's like, oh yeah, and then it's just fucking Lex Luthor. And it's just like, wait, what? No, this isn't right. Because remember I showed you the deleted opening? Yeah. Which, although very long, it at least makes more sense. Mm-hmm. It's because it's a stronger opening. It's, you know, Kal-El going to, Superman going to Krypton. Yeah. Or Krypton, as they say in, well, Brando says. Well, not even Brando, it's everyone.
Everybody in that
everyone but Christopher Reeve. Yeah. which I found weird because no one's like didn't question Reeve saying it wrong. He's like, well, no, actually, you know. But you know, he goes to Krypton and it's obviously destroyed, and then he like crashes back to Earth or something.
Yeah.
And then it starts there, which I think makes more sense.
Well, he does a lot of nothing throughout the film. Like, he just does a lot of creeping on Lois.
But it's not uncharacteristic for Reeve, because that's what Reeve kind of did.
Yeah, but he's using his extra... Well, does he know the kid is his? No, because
No, because that's the end. That's the end. Remember, she whispers to him.
Oh yeah, when he's in the hospital.
Yeah, that's the big
bed.
reveal.
I don't understand.
I suspect he just was like, oh no, why would it be my... you know.
Also, how does the kid have powers if he had no powers whenever they slept together? I don't...
Yeah.
How does that work? How does anything work?
No, I think he gave up the powers himself.
He didn't give up the genes.
I just think, well, I think what it tries to do is very weird, because it feels like two films at one, where it feels like it's obviously trying to just be a continuation of the Reeve films, but it's also trying to be like, you know, gritty, like Batman Begins, or like, you know, the Batman, you know, 89 and Returns, for example.
Yeah, it doesn't have a silly tone to it, like...
No, but there is some, like, fun, like, goofy moments, but it's not, like, to the extent that Reeves was. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not... It doesn't do a good blend of both, is what I'm saying.
Well, they did do the whole Jesus thing as well. Which... Because Schneider really plays on the Jesus
it makes
analogies
kinda,
and stuff. But they did do it... They did do it in Superman Returns first. But it's...
It feels very forced in that. Like, I think Schneider can kind of get away... Now, I am a big Schneider, but I think it's a lot more subtle. Even though it's very obvious, it's a bit more subtle. Because, like, Lex Luthor stabs him in the side of the fucking... You know, literally, there's so much Jesus allegory in there, like...
But I don't mind it so much in Schneider's, because...
He fucking dies at the end and comes back to life, Kira.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
But
not really, he just kind of gets a bit sick. It's not like he dies, he just kind of gets to a coma or something.
He's just not feeling so good.
Aye.
Well, that happens to him in Quest for Peace, isn't it? Whenever he gets, like, the nails.
Well, he gets a cold. He's, like, really sweaty. Yeah.
It's a really bad cold.
But, like, it's kind of weird, because... So he gets the fucking Kryptonite Island thing, right? Puts it in the sky... and fucks it off, and then I'm like, right, scientifically, how does this not work? You know what I mean? Because obviously there's a lot less water in the world now, because it's absorbed the water. Yeah. So, like, does that mean there's a massive drought after this that we don't actually get to see?
Maybe that's what the next movie was going to be about.
What, Superman Flyby? Yeah.
It's actually the lack of water in the universe now.
Well, I just find it kind of jarring that Henry Cavill auditioned for that.
Oh yeah,
and Amy Adams auditioned for Lois Lane. They both got turned down.
This is something really nitpicky. I hate that child's hair.
But the bowl cut.
I hate it.
It's of the time though.
No, it's
actually,
too long.
Just weird. It's not even of the time because they have fucking mobile phones in that film.
Yeah.
It's a very weird because they have computers as well. But obviously, like computers from the 80s or 90s. I don't know. When's it meant to be set? I assume like the early... Well, no, it must be late 80s. It's kind of very weird. It's kind of like that Burton-esque sort of bit of both sort of a thing. But that's the kind of only kind of way I can get around it.
It just has that really kind of dull...
Yeah.
Kind of like journalist...
Yeah.
setting kind of thing, with the colours is just very dull.
Well, the film's very beige.
Yeah, it is. It's not.
I don't know why it's beige for some reason.
I can't. To be fair, the
Brandon
only thing I will
Roos is
credit.
Good, though.
Yeah, he is good.
He is good.
I do enjoy him.
I'm happy that he returned in Crisis.
And as much as Kevin Spacey is the worst human being in the world.
He's good as kind of playing Gene Hackman.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
He's perfect Lex Luthor.
He's pretty good.
And I hated Spacey even before all of the things came out of it, because he just creeped me out. Yeah. And I had seen that before I knew anything about like all the controversies and stuff with him. And I just thought, like, as much as I hate this guy, he is so good as Lex Luthor.
Well, it's good being a villain. But I think that's just Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey is very good at playing a villain. Like House of Cards, for example, which is basically he's playing Lex Luthor for an entire, TV show.
Yeah. But Lex Luthor feels smart in that. Yeah. Like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor is not smart.
But again, John really hated about that film. It's all about fucking land. Why does he always have this fucking real estate plan? No, but why does he? Why is it real estate? Like, people get pissed off like Jesse Eisenberg, but I'm like, at least Jesse Eisenberg tried to fucking kill Superman. You know what I mean? Oh.
Well, I just don't like Jesse Eisenberg in general, but his Superman his Lex Luthor makes sense, especially in context of like the world, like modern day.
Yeah, because obviously you're not going to have that kind of businessman. You're obviously going to have like your social media tycoon kind of, like realistically, you wanted Mark Zuckerberg, so who'd you hire? Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I mean? Literally, like it was actually pretty good casting.
Yeah. I really miss Otis as well.
Oh, we have to.
Obviously, Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty obviously passed away recently as well. Who played our favourite character in the entire, the first two films? Otis. Mr. Luthor. The sweatiest man I've ever seen in my life.
He's so sweaty in every scene. I loved him though. In the first film, I do love the antics that they get up to, because like Gene Hackman. Because he's like, oh, I'm the smartest person in the whole world. And then
but he's always a fucking idiot, so he is. I don't know why.
But I feel like he is too, and it just works really well. You know, like the whole bookcase scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where Otis keeps sliding him over wrong.
Yeah.
I love that. I know it's so unnecessary, but it's so funny.
But he always has this just fucking idiotic sidekick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the way, Kira in her notes, which she has very few of, obviously she wanted to write down the most important notes here. Two of the notes are Otis and Miss Tessmarker. Now, I don't know why Otis and Miss Tessmarker were really mentioned.
I didn't think I'd forget Otis, but Miss Tessmarker, I couldn't remember her name for ages. Is she in the second film? They go in the hot air balloon.
The hot air balloon, which is obviously, what is it with the fucking hot air balloons? Because it's in Superman 3 as well.
Does she... She's the one that kisses Superman, right?
No, that's a different woman.
That was another woman.
The third one, yeah.
That's in the third film.
Yeah, the blonde woman.
Is that when he's drowning in the...
No, you're right. You're right.
It is Miss Tessmarker.
Yeah, that's in the first
she kisses him before she takes the kryptonite off him.
Joe was.
And he's just like,
he was using a superpower where he seduces women. This is it. This is the theory. Superman seduces women. That's the title of the podcast. That's what it's going to be. That's what it is. It makes sense.
He is like... He's very questionable. He is very questionable.
Because all we know him to do is... Because we see him in the third one as well. He just fucks a woman and fucks off. That's it.
What about in the third film?
Double fuck. That's what I said. In the third film, he does the same.
Yeah, he just leaves.
He does a double fuck. He fucks, and then he fucks off. That's it. You're gone.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he is actually bad in that film because remember.
Yeah.
You're talking about because you're like.
And then Brainiac's in it towards the end.
Terrifying robot. Well, because you know the way whenever he's obviously like been poisoned, and there's like a fine like so there's a grey area, so it's like Superman does things that are bad, and you're like but it wasn't really Superman. It was the evil one. Yeah,
but he obviously remembers
it. He remembers her.
Because he remembers the other things, like he remembers the oil rig that fucking got a hole in it or something. Yeah, and he goes back. But then he's just like, I'm sorry, I have no idea, ma'am. I was like, you fucking did it again. You just don't remember kissing her again. You forgot to kiss her. That was it.
Oh, Superman 3 is strange, though.
Well, there's a lot of strange stuff in all of them.
Well, it just, you know the opening, I know we're going back to the opening, but, because remember whenever we watched it, I was just like, is this the opening to See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Richard Pryor?
Yeah, because ever since Chaotix I was waiting for fucking, what do you call him to appear? Gene Wilder. Honestly.
Because he does kind of look like he's playing that, because I think...
Because he's playing that idiot character who's kind of a genius, weirdly, but it's all mistakes and stuff. I don't know. It's a weird film.
But it does look like
the opening scene of Superman 3, actually, we're wrong. The opening scene of Superman 3 is Richard Pryor trying to get a job.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The whole film's just Richard Pryor. Because, no, Alex, whenever I told you, remember I was telling you it was Richard Pryor and he gets the job, and you were like, that can't be the plot.
That can't be the plot. And then I watched Office Space, and I was like, holy fuck, that's the plot. They must be lying. I don't know. But obviously, we, next week, we're doing MCU. Because, you have never shared your opinions or thoughts on the MCU. But we'll also be talking about the Disney Plus shows, because Loki will have finished by next week.
All of them?
Yeah, all 3.
Okay.
That being WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have seen Black Widow by then, and we can talk about our opinions on it as well.
I'm not really that bothered though.
By what?
Black Widow. Which makes me
I'm not really
sad,
bothered, but I kind of want to watch it.
Well, I do want to watch it, but like I just don't care anymore for that character. I'm kind of ready to move on to new characters.
Yeah.
Like I know it's just the ending.
Kind of like DC at the minute with Superman.
What?
They don't really give a fuck about Superman anymore.
I just don't like Warner Brothers. I feel like they need to give DC to somebody who cares. Like they need to give the rights away.
No, because they make money off it.
Yeah, but they don't care. Clearly, they don't care.
We'll see. We'll see.
Wait, we never talked about Mustache Gate.
We will end on Mustache Gate here. Would you like to tell the story of? Because we know Justice League obviously has its Mustache Gate with Henry Cavill because the reshoots. You have to share, and this will end on this very touching Richard Donner story of Mustache Gate for the first Superman film.
Well, I just want to say, as every Superman series from now on, always going to have the problem where there's going to be a director's cut that everybody has to pitch for, like they have to like beg for years down the line, and then also there's going to be a Mustache Gate.
Yes, every couple of series, yes.
Where it's Gene Hackman, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Gene Hackman didn't want to shave his mustache.
No.
Part of the film. And Richard Donner's like, right, you shave yours, I'll shave mine. And then he obviously shaved it. And then Gene Hackman was like to Richard Donner, right, you shave yours. And then he pulls it off and it's a fake mustache.
He tricked Gene Hackman. Kira.
I just like, imagine a fake
it's such an icon. I can imagine Gene Hackman, obviously, because he's quite a chill, funny kind of guy. Him just bursting out laughing. You know what I mean? I mean, that is kind of the touching Donner story we want to hear. We're gonna leave that as a wee teaser at the end. That's the whole episode that we're dedicating with Mustache Gate. But obviously we will be talking about MCU next week, which we haven't talked about since I think it was like the 3rd or 4th podcast. So things have changed in the past 6 months, or more. And obviously, please follow us on Instagram at the Stay Podcast. Thank you for BuzzFeed, not BuzzFeed. Thank you to Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast. Please follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever streaming service you're listening to this on.
Or don't, as Kira says. Please do, though. Don't listen to her. She won't be on the next one. We have no other choice. You have to help me.
And thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this one. And we'll see you next week.